Hi, scholars. Welcome back to another interactive read aloud. And it's your chance to not only hear good reading, but to interact with it. And you are either going to interact through writing or you are going to record your speaking and your thoughts on the reading. So today we have a nonfiction reading, and our strategy or our target today is to summarize as you go. But I'm going to give you a strategy to be able to do that. Something I've been doing in my own nonfiction reading. I'm currently reading a book called Thomas Jefferson's Creme Brulee. And of course, the title just grabbed my attention, but it's also about how Thomas Jefferson brought French cuisine to America. And so I have been using this strategy. I'm reading the book on my phone, which I know isn't a very big device to be reading it on. I should at least pull it up on my iPad, but it's just easy peasy for me when I'm doing my reading. And as I go, every 2 pages on my phone, then I'll just jot down something that is kind of memorable from those pages. Because I have a tendency to read a lot. I am a prolific reader. I read a ton, but I am not that good about retaining information. And so I'm not necessarily looking to retain facts, but I kind of want to be able to retain these big ideas and connect them and become a stronger reader. So I'm going to give you a chance today to do that. As you're reading, you're going to have to pause, and then you're just going to have to give some examples of where you jotted down as you go. I think I'm going to require 2 jots for you on this, but as you over deliver and go that extra mile, like we talked about in Wordology, you may want to do even more because you're a scholar. You're always pushing yourself to excellence. So I hope you enjoy the reading. All right, so today's reading comes from a book called Playground Physics and How You Can Observe Physics in Action on the Playground. I thought our readers would be interested in that because they're interested in recess and they're interested in playgrounds. And so I thought that might be an area that you might find fascinating. If you do not find it fascinating, remember what we're learning. Tell your brain that, ooh, this is fascinating, and start picking out things in there that seem fascinating, and suddenly your amygdala will fall in line and your wish will be your command and it will seem fascinating. I want to just take a moment to talk about the structure of a nonfiction piece. And structure means built, how a nonfiction piece of reading is built. And that's a really important area for you to pay attention to as you read. So sometimes they are built in a description form where they describe something, or another one is the order or sequence. And in that one, you're telling which order it comes in. A lot of history books fall in order or sequence because they're built by time. Another type of nonfiction text structure is cause and effect. Because of one thing, this is the result. Another one is compare and contrast. You know, think of those Who Would Win series. Those are great ones for compare and contrast structures. You compare a polar bear to a grizzly bear, and you tell how they're alike and how they're different. Another nonfiction text feature is a problem and solution. And another one that I find that isn't listed on this list is the question and answer one. And that is the structure that you're going to see today. So I'm going to flip ahead in this book and I'm going to go to this one. And this section is called Meet a Playground Designer. It's really obvious. It's set up as a question and answer. It's also like in an interview. And so they've asked this architect, this woman, some questions, and then she's answered them and how you design a playground. All right, let's begin. Adelina Vallone is an architect who designs playgrounds. She attended Syracuse University to learn about planning and designing buildings and other structures. We asked her about her work. Readers, one thing I want you to notice is this little 1 right here next to the word architect. And that tells you that this is going to be a footnote. Think of your feet being on the bottom. And I'll read this even though it's very small. It gives the definition of architect right on this page. Sometimes we have a glossary that does that. And this one has used the nonfiction text feature of a footnote. Architect, someone who draws plans for houses, buildings, and other structures, and often supervises their construction. When you're reading this, you might think that being an architect is fascinating. Remember, you want to kind of rev your brain up so that it's ready to read. You could be like, oh, that's an interesting career. Maybe I could grow up and be an architect. And even if you're thinking, nah, I don't know that I want to be somebody who draws plans, houses, buildings, and other structures, if you rev your mind up by finding the fascination in it, you're more likely to remember it. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to teach you today was to summarize as you go. So here we are, her name. I don't think it's important to remember a lot of those details because you can always look those things up. But the idea that an architect has to go to university, they will learn about planning and designing buildings and other structures as part of it. So you want to remember that piece of it, that's what an architect needs to do. They need to go to school to study it. Question: why do you like to design playgrounds? Answer: playgrounds are a place where people can grow and learn. They're a place where people can practice physical skills like climbing. They can also try out social skills like taking turns. Playgrounds are a place where people learn to cooperate. I think that is an important skill too. And then this is our caption. A caption is a small piece of writing that supports usually a picture or diagram. I sketch ideas for a playground before I create design. Question: what's your favorite part of designing a playground? What's the hardest part? Answer: sketching is my favorite part. It's the most fun. The hardest part is finding creative ways to pack all the ideas and excitement into space and budget. So when I summarize as I go, I look at it and I say, oh, okay, so part of the design is drawing it out. And for her, part of the challenge is finding creative ways to pack the ideas into excitement, and that you're going to have to work on a budget. Question: where do you get your ideas for playgrounds? Answer: believe it or not, they come from children's books and movies. My goal is to plan a playground that will be different and memorable. I want people to visit again and again. And then we have another caption here: built for climbing. This pyramid tower in a play area in Mesa, Arizona, can hold 250 climbers at one time. It is just over 15 meters tall, nearly 50 feet, and about 24 meters wide, 79 feet. It is the largest structure of this kind in the world, says Domino Industries, a playground builder. So when I'm going to summarize as I go, one of the things I want to do is just process the information. We in America don't speak in terms of meters. And in this case, usually meters is in the parentheses I see, but in this case, meters is first and then 50 feet. So as I summarize as I go, I'm looking at 50 feet and I'm thinking, okay, so a man is about 6 feet tall, let's say, and 6 times 8 is 48, which is almost 50 feet. So I could say that this is about as tall as 8 grown men tall. So as I'm looking at this, I'm not just reading a bunch of words, but I'm trying to summarize as I go. I'm going to give you an opportunity in a moment to do that summarizing. Question: what is the most important thing a designer must keep in mind when creating a playground? Answer: safety is always the main consideration. Lots of space has to be allowed at the ends of slides, in front of and behind swings, and above and below seesaws. The motions of playground equipment can be predicted based on their patterns. These patterns help me plan where different equipment can be placed on the playground. Question: how important is science in the work of a playground designer? Answer: a playground designer needs to know science and engineering too. For example, platforms need to be strong enough to hold up with lots of children standing and jumping on them. And here's my caption: playground designers need to understand forces and motion to design safe playground equipment. Question: how do you choose materials to use in a playground? Answer: steel, plastic, and wood are often used to build playgrounds, but different materials work better in different parts of the country. Wood can rot in very wet climates. Plastic might melt in a hot desert climate. Okay, this is a great place to pause and jot something down. I just don't want you to get to the end and then have to do it all over again. as I'm going on from this point forward, you should be pausing and then just jotting down something that you're learning that can jog your memory when you come back. All right, enjoy the rest.
Caption: Design for the environment and fun. When a playground is built, it changes the environment. The Woodland Discovery Playground in Memphis, Tennessee, was designed to fit into its wooded setting. The children of Memphis helped the designers decide what to put into the playground. Shelby Farms Park Conservancy runs the playground. Readers, I want to pause there. When I hit this word, I could tell in my brain, I was having a conversation in my brain that I was messing that word up. And so I had to pause and take it chunk by chunk. Conservancy. All readers do that. I want you to know that. Even your teachers do that kind of work. I'm going to back up though so that I can maintain what I'm reading and understand it. The children of Memphis helped the designers decide what to put into the playground. Shelby Farms Park Conservancy runs the playground. They said, it sets a new international standard for natural, educational, and environmental play. Question: How do you test your designs? Answer: Ideas and designs are tested by playing. Usually the designer will test ideas early in the design process. If the idea works, a designer might put together a model in a showroom. Then the designer tests the model and looks for ways that the design can be improved. Of course, children are an important part of the testing process. If they don't like a design or don't have fun when playing, then it's back to the drawing board. Question: What do you think makes a playground fun? Answer: I love playgrounds that have water fountains built right in. They help keep people cool as they play. I also love playgrounds built in trees. Question: Do you have a favorite playground? Answer: My favorite playground of all time is the fort that I built myself underneath an old, low-hanging pine tree in my parents' backyard. Just a few sticks, a rope swing thrown over a branch, and lots of imagination. That's the fuel that makes playgrounds go. Readers, when I looked at this picture, I found myself wondering, was this a picture that was supporting her playground when she was little? But when I went back and reread it, I was like, well, no, this isn't, it's not a tree, doesn't have a tree swing, a rope thrown over it, but it does support this one, that she said she loves playgrounds where fountains are built in, and she likes to have trees in her playgrounds. So you have to be careful when you're doing it. Just because it's located next to one, you have to kind of interpret what that means to it. All right, I hope you enjoyed Playground Physics.